properly pour a bottle of wine. Knowing how to properly pour a bottle of wine can not only be a good hosting tool, it can be helpful on the job. I will be demonstrating how to properly pour a bottle of wine. I will be covering the proper way to pour, how to avoid getting the dreaded drip, and serving your guests the wine that you have just poured. Knowing the proper way to pour a glass of wine will help you look more professional in any job. Knowing the proper way to pour is essential in many jobs today. For instance, if you are a waiter or waitress, serving wine can be a major part of your job. The first thing that you should do is to present the bottle of wine to your customer, letting them see the brand, what type of wine it is, the year it was produced, and where it was produced. After the customer approves the wine, pour the wine so that the customer can see the label. For instance, like so. And always remember that the proper amount of a glass of wine is 5 ounces. If you overpour more than those 5 ounces, not only could it come back to your employer, it could also come back to you. As a bartender at Back Alley Ambrosia in Osage, we are strictly a wine and beer bar. So, knowing these tools, let's say if somebody would become increasingly intoxicated, they would drive, they would get in an accident, not only would the bar get charged a fine, I would also be getting a fine. And if you are doing a server, always make sure that the glass does not get empty. But remember to ask if they would like to have more. Pouring in a social setting is a lot less complicated and a lot more relaxed. Social pouring is really if you're pouring for yourself, family, or friends. And there are some towns where social pouring can be a good way to meet other people. One problem with pouring is that if you get the drip, it looks unprofessional and like you don't know what you're doing. The key to not getting the drip when you pour a bottle of wine is to slightly turn the bottle, and it creates an air bubble. The drip makes you look sloppy and unprofessional. It can also, cause overpouring. And overpouring can cost your employer even more money. Serving your guests is just as important as the pouring itself. As a waiter or waitress, there are 4 things that you should keep in mind. Never reach across the table to grab the glass. Always walk around the table, and always take the glass from the patron's right-hand side. And always take it off the table. In a social setting, it's not as formal. It is okay to reach across the table, although some people still frown upon it. And since it is more of a family-friend setting, they can usually, pour themselves another glass. In conclusion, properly pouring a bottle of wine can be useful in multiple settings, whether it be a job, in a family affair, or really anything. In this demonstration, I have shown you the proper way to pour, how to avoid getting the bubble, or it's the drip, and how to properly serve your guests. In closing, I have shown you how to properly pour the bottle, Now you go out and try it. But remember that not to serve anyone underage.